Okay, quick review on the answers here. Make sure you're fixing your answers if you got anything wrong. Now, for these first two, we needed to write congruent statements, all right, comparing the corresponding parts in each set of congruent figures. All right, we know the arcs and the hashes, the hash marks and the arcs. All right, tell us which ones are congruent. So we can see this arc here and this arc here, they have the same number of arcs, so those are congruent. So we would say angle N is congruent to angle S. All right, and then I'll do one of the lines as well. I see that I have 2 hash marks here and 2 hash marks here, so those 2 lines are congruent. Now, the order matters, so if I say N, M, put the line segment over top, so set line NM is congruent to which letter would I have to put for this one first? Well, I see that since N and S, N and S are congruent, since N goes first, S has to go first, so ST would be the answer. Some people might put TS, but that would be wrong because T can't be first if N is first. All right, hopefully that helps. Now I'm just going to erase this and I'm going to give the answers. You can pause and check. All right. Pause and check. You should have 6 answers for both. Some of these, some of these here will be different orders and whatnot, but make sure that they, if one side is switched, the other side is switched as well, so that corresponding pieces, corresponding parts are all in the same position in the names. All right, let's look at the next one. Okay, pause and check this. And make sure that you had something about a reflection in your description. All right. Some people may have reflected it just the wrong way, but the key here is that you have to get U to map on top of H and V to map on top of J. So you can't just slide it any old way and place it on top. A lot of you might have matched up the U and the I. The U and the I, maybe you flipped it over the y-axis like this, right? And then so U was here, and then you slid it up there. But U and I aren't the matching parts, right? U has to match with H. So you have to pay attention to that when you do this. All right, so U has to match with H, so we have to get U over here to H. The best way to do it is to flip it over the x-axis here, 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 and here. Okay, a lot of drawing, little sketches, and sometimes erasing if you make a mistake. And so now we have our U right there, and then we'll slide it over there to fit on top. So a reflection across the x-axis and a slide to the right. All right, now moving on. Make sure you pause, take your time to really reflect on this and make sure you understand it fully. We're talking about this umbrella here, and we're looking at these 2 triangles, right? We have JLK and triangle NLM. And remember, in this congruent statement, if J's in first place, so N's in first place, so those are our corresponding parts, right? Corresponding parts are always in the same position in the names. Big key there, big key. Now let's look at this next one. If we have M, the measurement of angle JKL. So when we have a 3-letter name of an angle, JKL, we start at that first letter, we go to the next letter, and then end at the other letter. And that middle letter is always the corner of your angle. So we're talking about this angle here. All right, and then NML. So we go NML, that's this angle here. And are those congruent? Well, if we look at the positions here, is J in the same place as N? Yes, J and N are in the same spot. How about K and M? Yes, K and M are in the same spots. And L and, L, they share that same spot. Yes, L's in the middle, L's in the middle of that one. So yes, we have congruent. So if they're congruent, they're the same. So 66 here, it must be 66 there. All right, and you can follow that same method for getting the length of line segment KJ. Corresponding parts are always in the same position. Good work so far. Hopefully you're understanding. Now we get to the fun ones. All right, on the figure, draw arc and tick marks to identify the corresponding parts. Well, we know that A has to correspond with E because of this congruence statement. So A and E are going to have the same number of arcs. You notice that they put 3 here and 3 here. D and B have to have the same number, so that's going to be 1 arc there. And C and D, so you see the double arc and the double arc for D. All right, so that's the first part you have to do, and then you can look at the hash marks as well and make sure that you lined up the correct hash marks. All right, you can see that A, B, and EB have to be the same number of hash marks. A, B, EB, they're the same hash marks. All right, they both have 1 and 1. All right, hopefully you filled that in. Now we have to find the value of x. Well, if we look here, because there's our x, what we're looking for is something that's congruent to it. We know that this line here and this line here, these two are congruent, so they're equal. So we're saying 4x minus 2 equals 22, and then we're going to just solve that. Some of you just guess and check. What times 4 minus 2 will give you 22? Well, 5 times 4 is 20. No, that's not going to work. 6 times 4 is 24 minus 2. We could also do our quick maths here and get this, right? And then divide by 4, x equals 6. And that's where that came from right there. Now for our most challenging problem, / most enjoyable to do. All right, well, we have our 2 congruent shapes here, 2 congruent triangles, and we have to use some of our knowledge from the last chapter. Some of our knowledge from the last chapter, because we noticed that we want to find the value of x. Well, like we did up here, they gave us all the information we needed right off the bat to make our equation. But right here, we have x is in this part, but its corresponding side is missing. We don't know that length, so we can't make our equation out of this value and this value, like we did up here, this value and this value. All right, because if they're congruent, they're equal, so we can make an equation. Well, guess what, everybody? We have a special type of triangle. We have the 2 legs, so we can use Pythagorean Theorem for this right triangle. All right, so we're going to plug in 5 squared, 12 squared equals c squared. That gives us 25 plus 144 equals c squared. That gives us 69 equals c squared. We square root both sides, and we get c equals 13. So now we know that that's 13. And now we can take these 2 corresponding parts, and since they're corresponding and the shapes are congruent, we know these are equal. So x plus 3 equals 13. Well, what is x going to be? You can probably do that mentally without this inverse operation, but x is 10. Boom, there you go. And then you have to describe how you would map it. So that's a rotation followed by a translation. And that is it. Bye.